Is it was running? Let me go check. I can check.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because it says live. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's good. It's on. Somebody clicked on. Yeah.
You ready?
Yes. All right. Technical difficulties. Working it out.
Yep.
Thank y'all for being patient with us.
Yeah. What's up, Blueprint family? Thank you all for joining us tonight. It is Wednesday night,
Oh.
July 26th. Thank you all for joining us. So we have a great topic for the night. I'm excited about this topic. Competition in relationships. I love to talk about this topic because I hate two people in a relationship competing with each other. Nothing more that I hate than that.
Yeah.
Two people who are self-sabotaging their relationships just because they're jealous of each other.
It's a whole bunch of reasons
Right.
too that play in the part of why it's more common now more than ever, right?
Right. And it's just it's disgusting to me when a man or a woman is, like I said, jealous of their spouse. They're trying to one up them, eye roll. They just, just jealous of them because they're winning. And it is I always say if it's a win for me, it's a win for we. So that's the mentality that you need to have when it comes to a relationship. But a lot of people seem to not get that.
Yeah.
For whatever selfish reasons you have, if your husband gets a promotion, you may get upset about that because you didn't get one, or whatever the case may be, and you still don't see the fact that you both are winning. Because you are both in a relationship together and you working together, supposed to be. But you have problems when you start pulling apart and start working against each other.
Yeah.
And especially those young people out there in those relationships, those boyfriend and girlfriend relationships. That is your audition for marriage. Guy and the guy and the girl. And what you all do for each other will basically predict how long you all will make it until you all are, or get to a marriage, rather. So you have to understand that it's all about service. But we're going to talk about the breakdown of that relationship when you all stop providing services. What we talk about being a wife and a husband, or your spouse, support for each other. When you stop supporting each other and start hating on each other. It happens all too often, especially in those young relationships starting out. You all are still trying to figure out your roles in the relationship, living together when you probably don't need to be. You both are hard headed, and then you fight over money. You're struggling with money, and then the world around you becomes a competition against each other. So we're going to show you all what that looks like. And then, be honest with yourself, be truthful with yourself. Are you in this type of relationship?
And where did it start? Why did it start?
Right. And you're right. Exactly. Why did it start and where did it start? Because this is also the advice that we give is a self-reflection. We want you all to take this in and also realize, is this me? Is this something I need to work on? Is my spouse doing this to me? Is this something we need to communicate about? Because I heard it today. That's the number one reason why couples don't make it, is because of the lack of communication, and also to their expectations in the relationship. They don't communicate these things. So we're going to go ahead and lay this down. But first, our Instagram followers and our YouTube followers, this is a live show. Yes, this is a live show. So I know you all been seeing our daily wrap-up crew shorts, and seen a comment in there that someone said that this can't be real. Yes, this is real. Me and my wife, we love each other. We've been married for about 8 years, known each other for over 11 years.
Known each other for over 15 years.
We've known each other for over 15
dated
years.
exclusively for like 11 years. Yeah.
Thank you.
Where was that? Because we knew each other for a while.
Right. Yeah. So she had to get it. She helps me. You see that support there. So this is real. Me and my wife have been together. We're happily married. We're not going anywhere. I don't plan on spending alimony checks anytime soon. That was one of the comments. Right. Yeah. So that's none of that. We don't even think about that. We're solely focused on the goal of what we committed on, and we have a plan and we're sticking to it. And evidently, guess what? It is working. It is working. We're getting a lot of people telling us that, this works. The information that we're giving them works. And then, truth be told, this is the stuff that I wish I had when I was 20 years old, when I wish I was 18 years old. When I left the house, I didn't know how to navigate relationships. A lot of us don't. You got to be honest with yourself. You don't know everything, regardless of what age you've been and what experiences you have had. Relationships is like one of those unknowns. A lot of people just tell you if it don't work out, then you just need to be by yourself. And that isn't the truth. There's ways that you need to fix yourself, and then also to fix your situation before you can get back into another relationship. Yes, you have to take those steps. All of this stuff is work. So if you want the reward in the end of marriage, and also to end that marriage, you still need to make it. You need to work. We're here on earth. You don't get nothing unless you work for it. So
whether in thought or physical, I often say that because thought plays a huge part in it. A huge part,
Right. So, we're here to give you some work.
Yeah. And really, I like to think of it as we are really in tune and holding the vibration of being able to exhibit as an example, a positive example, so that other people can also peep it, grab onto the messages, and be able to implement this into their life so that they can also have the same results that they want for themselves. So,
right. And then also too, like I was saying, I kind of got sidetracked. This is a call-in show, a live call-in show. So at any moment in time, if you have any questions, anything that you want to talk about, please put it in the comments. Ask questions. We will answer those, just like the last video that we had someone up there who wanted to ask us questions. Also too, if you have something else deeply that you want to go through and you want to talk to us in private, we have consultation sessions as well. You can book consultations with us through thewifeconomics.com, www.wifeconomics.com/ submit a question. You can ask us a question there, or either if you want to get deep into details and we can provide you some exclusive help, advice in those consultation sessions. You can also book us. But as every show, like we said, this is a live call-in show. So
let's get on in, because like you said, it's an exciting topic, because I think more so than ever, when I think about my generation growing up, I was a 90s baby. So like growing up, it was really, I can do this. Like I can, the competition was kind of rooted into the societal messages a lot then, where it's like compete with your man, compete with him, compete with him. You can do it. I can do it. We can all, just fight each other. And I really think a lot of that came about because of the dissolving of kind of the traditional roles and what women and men were looking at as roles within a relationship then, because women went into the workforce. And then once they got into the workforce, they were then full-fledged competing with men in their field. So you took them, it kind of like took the distinction, the separation out of it in a way, to where it was, the women we were doing our own things, and the men were doing their own things. So, and there's nothing wrong with the woman working and having her own and going after her own goals. And who's that? The Jews. Like going after their own kids, going after their own goals and stuff like that. So it's, but I guess the issue really comes in when you are really then just constantly trying to one up each other in various areas of your life. So this could look like, hold on. Hold on. I think that's Lily.
Yep. But yeah, so like my wife is saying, so being competitive in a relationship can look very, of course, it's very negative. So it's hard trying to be competitive at work, and then you got to come home and then fight and argue with somebody else in a relationship. How can you make that work? You can't. And the whole purpose of being in a relationship is to provide a loving service to each other and help support each other. So that's what we are here to talk about tonight, and also to what it looks like. So with that being said, the topic tonight is competition in relationships, why it's harmful and how to stop it. So when you're in a competition with your spouse, it means that you're consistently trying to outdo each other in various areas of your lives. So this could include your careers, your hobbies, your parenting, or even your appearance. So understand that. I mean, it could be also too material things, and that's what you don't want to do. You know, you don't want to compete and try to one up each other over material things as well. So like I said, competition looks like, you know, you competing in your careers and working, trying to work against each other and bragging about, hey, you know, I got a promotion today and you didn't, or what have you. You both got a promotion, especially when it comes to the family unit. So here are some signs that you might be in competition with your spouse. So number one, you feel jealous when your spouse succeeds. So with that being said, it, like I was saying in the beginning, it's very disgusting to me that if your wife is you know, getting promotions at work and you're not, as a man, and then you get jealous at her because she's bringing in more money in the household. Now, and especially it's a problem if you all not working together to pay bills in the household, also as well. So understand that you know, you all, of course, it's a teamwork effort. Why are you all getting jealous about that? So your basis of your relationship is not complete, is not stable when you introduce jealousy into your relationship. So understand also too, you know, and vice versa. If the female is upset and mad and she's showing signs of jealousy because you're bringing in more money into the relationship, now there's something wrong there. Like, you know, why is that happening? Really got to take, you know, a time to communicate about these situations instead of letting them linger on into your relationship. So the next one we have here is you feel the need to one up your spouse at every turn. Um, I don't know if you all seen it, but it was this reminds me of that video of Alicia Carey, and it was a new video recently of Drake coming up to Steph Curry and complimenting him, and then you can see that she had a bit of an eye roll in the video, and then she felt the need to you know, express her feelings, and it seems as if that she was jealous because someone gave her husband a compliment. And the thing is this: if you're feeling insecure in your relationship, you are going to have feelings of you know, emotional feelings toward your significant other, especially if there's something wrong with you. And a lot of times that is the case, but this needs to be communicated, and that is something that you all need to talk about. Because how can you make that relationship work? How can you make your relationship work if you all are trying to one up each other at every turn, at every angle? It's not realistic, not realistic at all. So that is a detriment to your relationship, and you're actually working backwards, trying to one up each other. A lot of times you may see these in these young relationships where they're getting compliments from the opposite sex. So, you know, your girlfriend might be getting compliments from another guy. It will make you upset. It will make you angry. Of course it will. But the thing is this, is that your job is to protect your spouse. You're supposed to love your spouse. And then also too, she's supposed to be all in on you. Why, you know, she shouldn't entertain the compliments or any of that type of stuff. So trying to one up each other in a relationship will ultimately doom your relationship. It will ultimately doom your relationship. But look for signs of people who do these things to you as well, because those are people that you do not want to be around. You know, people who are trying to one up you when it comes, and I'm talking about in relationships, because that's what, you know, that's what matters the most. Now, your friends who try to one up you, they're just your friends. You don't live with these people, and then they don't owe you anything. But you and your spouse, wife and husband, if you're all trying to one up each other, and it's something that isn't a friendly competition, then you are going to ultimately breed jealousy in the relationship, which is going to doom your relationship. And you know, guys may say, you know, you might go back to the modern woman thing and say that, you know, well, you know, modern women often compete in relationships, but also too, you have to see whether or not you're being a provider and a protector in your relationship. So if you're, here's the thing: if people who complain about their relationships and things that's going on in relationships, make sure that you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing right in a righteous manner, so that you yourself have no room to complain. And well, not complain, but you have no room for your spouse to complain about you. Because as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're righteous in your cause, and you're doing the right thing, then you know that there's no room or no need for jealousy or your spouse trying to one up you. So if these things are happening, then you know it's not your fault. Then it's an issue with your spouse, and that's something that you all need to communicate about. So number 3, you're constantly comparing yourself to your spouse. If you find yourself comparing yourself to your spouse, that's a deal breaker. That's a no-go. I'm pretty sure your spouse is going to be tired of you talking about your situation, whether it's a positive, whether you're getting a promotion at work and they're not, or what have you. How are you supporting your spouse when you're doing things like that? It makes no sense at all. So that is a red flag of competition in your relationship. So constantly comparing yourself to your spouse. So saying like, oh, well, you didn't, get a promotion at work, or you didn't get compliments, or whatever the case may be. All of that stuff is superficial, for real, to be honest with you. You all both work, especially the promotion at work, you all both worked on that together, whether you believe it or not. Without the support of your loved one and what they do and how they help you, you have to give them some credit about that. So truth be told, monetary things, you all owe each other the credit for that. But all that other stuff outside of that can be competition, especially if, they bragging about compliments that they got at the grocery store, or compliments that they got while they were out, and what have you. That's very immature stuff. Who cares about those compliments? But don't get me wrong, if somebody's trying to be disrespectful or something, yeah, they need to know about that and just let them know, because you're venting your frustration, and then you're needing to you need someone to listen. You need your spouse to listen to you about your situation or something that happened. But like I said, if you're constantly comparing yourself to your spouse, then yeah, that's a sign of competition in your relationship. That needs to be checked. So if you're not happy for your spouse when they achieve their goals, that is by far that's a big one, because like, using that example again about the promotion, that's a win for both of you all. And achieving goals, you all need to also realize that those goals were achieved by both of you. I said it before, both of you all support each other, and often at times there's some underlying situation or issue that's going on. If your significant other is not happy that you both are succeeding, if there is some sort of jealousy and competition, then you have to realize that your spouse is for some reason is pulling away in the relationship, and you have to address that. Whether they're feeling inadequate in their relationship, then again, you see that's an issue on them. But it needs to be talked about in a kind manner, because you're trying to really understand them mentally, so that you can provide some sort of support or either insight and into the situation. Now, if something's going on with your spouse, especially if for the man, if he's pulling away and feeling some type of way because you find out that he's feeling inadequate in the situation, then you need to have a conversation with them, of course, but understand too, give him some sort of support. Vice versa also too for your wife. If she's feeling inadequate in the situation, in the relationship, find out why, and then find out ways that you can support them. If they're not, but also too, if they're not doing their duties and things that they agreed to in the relationship as well, that is also another reason to talk about ways that areas of improvement. And we talked about the relationship check-in yesterday. So you want to watch that video and ask those questions to your spouse too often, so you can avoid, especially competition in your relationship. Areas of where there's jealousy, and these type of things you see a lot on reality TV shows when there's relationships, those relationship shows, and there's problems in the relationship. Often at times you see that these relationships, the man and the wife are competing against each other, and that's what really the problem is. Somebody's career is excelling and they're just in the background. You know, you got the somebody's the lead singer, and then the background singer or dancer is getting upset because they're not getting shine. You know, in the relationship, who cares? Y'all both are winning. You know, you both are working together to pool your resources together to make things happen in a positive manner. So just to keep that in mind, keep that goal in mind, and understand that you all are both working towards something that's bigger than both of you. So the next one, number 5, another red flag is you're more focused on winning than on building a strong relationship. And that's a big one, because if you find yourself, that's pretty much like the rest of them. So you're competing in the relationship. And if you're both are focusing on trying to, that goes to one up each other, one up each other in the relationship, then that's going to lead to a lot of stress. And then also, you good, honey?
Yes. Sweet baby boy needed help back to sleep. And I send that protective, loving light around him and our kids and our family. And we're back.
Yep.
I'm back. Thank you for holding it down. Catch me up. Look at you.
So now I made it through point number 5. So first we talked about your number 1. If you feel jealous with your spouse succeeds, so their victory. So if you feel jealous when your spouse succeeds, I talked about that.
Yeah.
But I might go back.
Whew. Yeah, man. Okay.
I'm at number 5.
Okay.
You're more focused on winning than on building a strong relationship.
Oh,
you got some insight on that, honey?
Channel it on back in. Figure back where we're at. Okay, so you're more focused on winning than building a strong relationship. Oh yeah, for sure. That's when it becomes more personal, because then it's like, about your own, self-esteem or other reasons. But in particular, you just really got to look at the reasons to why people compete more than ever, because that actually will give more clue into, what's the real root cause of what's going on,
right?
The real issue. So what comes to mind first off when I think of that is the insecurity, because it's not being able to think from a team type of perspective, is more like you have something to prove extra, like for yourself. You may not feel worthy, or it's right, insecure. Yeah, you may need to be validated more because I don't know,
or just want attention.
Yeah,
but but the thing about it is this: is that you either got good people out there, or you got bad people.
Yeah.
So you may be in a relationship with a bad person who wants all this damn attention and always want to be in the spotlight and always want all the good compliments, and then they love it when you're not getting anything, or you're receiving negative feedback about your performance.
That reminds me of the Aish Curry.
I talked about that.
Yeah.
that is a red flag, and you shouldn't be in a relationship with somebody like that. We had a comment on one of those daily wrap-up crew videos, one of the shorts, and somebody was talking about how what was it? They were talking about how I forgot, it was dealing with competition in a relationship, about how young women now and these days, all they're focused on is like social media and trying to keep up with like people on social media. And if you get into a relationship with somebody like that, you're going to be competing because all they want is what everybody else got, and they're gonna be mad at you because you can't bring that to them. What value is that in that person? Why do people pick? And you see this mistake in a lot of young people, is that they pick And young guys pick girls to be in this relationship with them, these type of girls. And then vice versa, young girls pick guys who are very flashy, and that's all they got is flash. That's all they got is flash to give them, not knowing that in order to make a relationship last, that man needs to be a provider and a protector for you, as opposed to him caring about the latest Jordan shoes is out, how much gold can he buy, and the best car that he can drive. Yeah. And how are you going to build a relationship with that? With some tennis shoes in a you know in a 2000s model car, you know, year 2000, I don't know, 2005. I don't know what these cars these young people are driving now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think
it's stuff. It's all material. Mm-hmm. Everybody's mind, especially the young people's mind, is stuck on material stuff. I've been in there. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. That's why I'm able to say these things today, that it don't amount to nothing. All that stuff is here one moment, is gone the next. So why are you all competing against each other in a relationship for stuff? Yeah. You know, that's one thing. That was one point. If you one up in somebody trying to get the best shoes, but then again, your rent ain't paid. You know, what sense does that make? Like, how are you going to, raise this family with shoes? Yeah. You know, priorities are messed up.
Yeah. And a lot of it too is fear too. Big, I think, portion of it may be the fear that's not even directly yours, but maybe acquired from other people that you have heard stories about. They say that, oh, this had happened to them or whatever the case may be. But just the aspect of having your spouse shine and accomplish great things can be fearful for people who may, fear abandonment or fear being left behind. And that's really important to think about within our community, because trauma is so deeply rooted, especially within the Black and brown communities, where 80% of or 70% of our children are born in single parent households. So I was one of them. My husband was one of them. But you just think of the simple aspect of having a parent missing can often lead to that feeling of, abandonment. And that means that we all, to a good extent, had some type of trauma of having to get rid of those fears and not really, worry about that. Oh, yeah. Oh, the comments. Yay. I know. Check you out. Be competitive together, Mike Levin. Yes. As a team, that's how you kick butt in life. Like, you kick life's butt versus kicking each other's butt. That's no fun. Unless it's in the bedroom. You showed that
displays here.
I did what?
That first comment.
Oh, I wanted to click that one. There we go. Yeah, that's just something to really take in consideration, because people who are afraid of abandonment may compete with their spouse in order to keep them interested. That's another big thing to think about too. If you worry that you can't keep up with your spouse or that they're going to leave you for somebody, that is an underlying fear of abandonment that just has to be addressed, so you're not bringing it into your relationship and not allowing you guys to shine together.
Right. That's the reason why I said that young people, young men particularly, young men under 30, men under 30, you shouldn't be interested or trying to entertain the idea of trying to get married, especially in your lower 20s. Yeah. Because you don't want to fall victim to a female who's trying to one up you, and then you trying to compete with her, and you spending all your money and all this stupid stuff, especially if the female's still going out drinking and partying, and then you having a hard time trying to scrape your money together to keep up with her, trying to go out party with her, or whatever the case may be, spend the most money and try to flash, because you're squandering your youth, you're wasting your money in which you can invest that into do something better later in life. Yeah. And then that's something that a lot of people don't tell these young people, is that don't get into these relationships so early. You often the times they get taken for granted, and especially if you get into a situation of competing with your girlfriend. A man isn't supposed to compete with a woman.
No,
not at all. You're supposed to work with that woman. The woman is supposed to work with you as well, to provide service and support with you as well.
And we're different. Like, let's be real. Like, we're different. Men and women are biologically just different. And to be completely honest, men have a competitive advantage over us. For one, they have higher levels of testosterone, which scientifically are connected to not just aggression, but competitiveness as well. And then on top of it, just their natural the strength and ability to go out, at least one, for those who are still, menstruating and stuff, at least 1 week out of every month, you are not at your optimum best. Men don't have that disadvantage. Like, they're always able to, just go. Like, their rise and fall of their hormone is the only thing that, of their hormone of testosterone, is pretty much the only thing that would affect a man's ability to really go out there and go get it, which is why we recommend men testing their testosterone and stuff, because we are all for men actually being men and stepping up and being competitive and being that role, that protector, that provider for the family, being that leader. And then, of course, being able to step up to the role and sense of character and discipline as well.
Right. But there's also too another way where a man can't perform is when he's doing stupid stuff like this and trying to compete with his spouse.
Exactly.
That's the reason why I was saying that stop competing with your damn spouse who's working against you.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to achieve your goals, and your focus is in the wrong areas.
It is.
So if you find yourself in these situations, then you really need to listen to what we're saying and review your life. And then and we're giving tips, right?
Yeah. We're gonna get into
what you need to do, laying the blueprint.
Yes.
To what you need to do in order to get out of that rut that you're in.
Yeah, and still even make it work. If you are in a relationship and you are recognizing that, hey, these are some things that we're probably doing, we need to, get a grips on this. We're going to help you through that as well. But first, the major big part of all of this is awareness, because that's how you can really get to solving the problem, because you have to understand the root cause of the problem. What's really going on here? Why are y'all competing with each other? Is it a need for control? That's another reason why people underlyingly may compete, because they feel like they may need to, control their spouse. They may need to, it may be a threat to their dominance or whatever the case may be, male or female, because women can be quite dominant now times too, and aggressive and stuff like that. So, I mean, that it can apply both ways. And egos. Exactly.
Yeah, you need to defeat your ego first before you get into a relationship. Having an ego in a relationship is one of the easiest ways to scare somebody off or out of the relationship.
Yeah.
Needing to control people. Understand that I always say this too, that you cannot change people. Change happens with that person in their mind, that they want to change themselves. You can only hope to inspire people. When if you are a type of person who's trying to dominate somebody in the relationship, that other person is going to feel alone in that relationship while they're with you. And they're going to try to figure out how the hell to get away from you.
Right.
Or either they may, receive some sort of Stockholm syndrome and just go with whatever you give them. But ultimately, that's going to breed bad karma into your relationship. Something's going to happen. And we're going to talk about that. I see that's.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into that. The number of effects that can happen, because you were heading right on into that. And that's so true. And it's so unfortunate, because you can have a great relationship, but because you didn't address, well, one more quick one I don't think we mentioned was past experiences, right? So if you haven't taken the time to address past experiences, maybe being constantly compared to a sibling, being constantly compared to a cousin, or your parent putting you down compared to your sibling and stuff like that. So you grew up with the underlying need to compete. That can sometimes translate over into your relationship. And you've really got to be mindful of if this is something that, could be affecting you deep down inside, because you don't want it to end up ruining what could be a great relationship for you if you were able to just, work past those underlying, issues.
Right. These issues that we talked about, those are problems with the self. Self. It ain't the other person. If you exemplify these type of issues, what's going on is that you're seeing this stuff happen and you feel as if it's not happening for yourself.
Yeah.
So you're trying to bring your spouse down. Or that's the competition part of it.
Yeah,
they don't have the problem. It's you the one that got the problem. So you really need to review yourself and check yourself so you can stop doing this type of stuff. Self-sabotaging.
And don't beat up on yourself, though. We're not telling you to beat up on yourself here and just be like, oh, like, I can't, don't do that, because that's not very constructive. But please be aware of if this is going on. Like, you just have to. Awareness will really help create the stage for change. And of course, if not, it will lead to some negative effects of your relationship. And the first one kind of being resentment. That's a given when you're just one spouse is just trying to win at all costs. It kind of goes back to that statement that you kind of brought me in on winning. And that's really unfortunate because you want to win so much at, every little thing from careers to even your body type to all types of things. People, all types of things that people will get tit for tat, trying to win, and that will breed resentment, especially if you end up being the one that ain't getting what you're not getting the attention or whatever it is. You're not the one that's shining at that moment in time, and that's super unfortunate. Super unfortunate, because then that will lead to what? A lack of trust.
Yeah. So if your spouse constantly competing with each other, so spouses are constantly competing with each other, it can be difficult to trust each other. This is because each spouse may be worried that the other is trying to sabotage them or take advantage of them.
Yeah.
Lack of trust. How can you build a relationship with no trust? That equals no loyalty. This is no relationship. The relationship is your enemy. This person is your enemy. You're living with your enemy.
Right.
How many of you all out there, are going through that? How many are all, are living with your enemy? I hope you are not. Right. But I mean, it happens, especially, and I go back to those young relationships, those guys under 30 who can't provide, and they not, providing for their relationship or trying to build a family with their wife or girlfriend. Rather, with their girlfriend, what happens is that you have a lack of trust. That girl's going to probably find, if she finds somebody who she thinks is better than you, then she's gone. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah. And all of this, again, you want to be sure that we're not saying, everybody out here is a good person, and that you do have to be somewhat on guard so that you're not taken advantage of. I'm very much aware of the many different types of personalities that exist. We all are. And, it's real. But at some point, once you have come to the awareness of what it means to be a good person and to actually own that vibration and that frequency for yourself, you are easily going to be able to discern if someone else is not in alignment with that. And then, of course, most of the time, too, you'll be able to bring people who also have good intentions into your life as well, because within you have your good intentions and you're not fearful of these things happening to you, because fear will really just breed some nasty results in your life. Yeah, it really, really will. So we just really have to be so vigilant on not being fearful of things going wrong, because
you can't operate in fear.
Yeah, you can't.
So that takes us to communication problems. Competition can also lead to communication problems. This is because spouses may be afraid to share their thoughts and feelings or fear of being judged or criticized. I want to say this too. Competition can also lead to communication problems. This is because sometimes spouses may not actually have the intention of loving you. You may have gotten to a relationship where there was no love in the beginning. You came into a situation where this person, may have fooled you, or you may have thought you're being fooled. You ignored all the red flags of that beginning stages of the relationships, and you failed to see all the red flags of someone who just trying to take advantage of you. This happens, y'all.
It does.
You get into a relationship with somebody who's trying to get over on you. And there is no love built there. They just finessed you. You got finessed because you ignored all the red flags, and now you're married to this person. What happened? What did you do? Where did you go wrong?
Where was the breakdown? I always like to figure out, where was the part that you missed?
It's communication problems. You all are not talking to each other. You all have not set barriers. You all have not set intentions. You all didn't establish love in the relationship from the beginning in the right way. That is what happened. We saw a comment on one of the videos that this woman, she said that, I did this, I helped support my man in the beginning, and all of a sudden he left me, or whatever the case may be. There were red flags in the beginning, ma'am, of somebody who you could not trust. Trust me. Those trust that you ignored those red flags because you invested into this man. Unfortunately, that happens.
Yeah.
But it is up to you to check those red flags and openly communicate and see these problems and make sure that this type of stuff doesn't happen again. Now, if it does happens to you again in that same relationship, then that's up to you to make a decision to back out of it. We can't use the fact that we invested money and time on somebody for the reason why we can't leave that bad relationship.
Yeah, what do they call that in finance? The sunken cost fallacy.
Yeah, sunken cost fallacy.
It's
you can't do that. And I've been there before. I know what that feels like. You've invested money into a bad relationship, invested your time into somebody that you want them to change, and then you get into a control. You become a control freak, and then all of a sudden, bad stuff happens. You know, whether it's violence or whatever the case may be, there's a breaking point in that relationship because you yourself could not be mature enough to step back, review the relationship, and be like, look, I'm done. I'm out. You know, before things get bad, you're not willing to work with me. I'm gone. You know, you have to be mature enough to get out of that. If you're not mature enough to do these type of things in a relationship, then you're not ready for one yet. Yeah. You know, it's you've invested, I don't know, $10,000 into this man or this woman, and they still ain't acting right. And then you still want to be there with them? No, that's ridiculous. And but a lot of people would do it though. You know, they were like, well, you know, I'm gonna make this work. You can't make this work by your damn self. You can't. Yeah. You can try to see what happens. You can be mad because you didn't spend another $5,000 and that was enough for you to leave. You didn't spend too much money and time on a bad relationship.
Yeah.
Try to get some help in that bad relationship. Try to see if they want to get this relationship fixed with you, because 9 times out of 10, if they say no to premarital counseling or marriage counseling, then there was no love in the beginning of that relationship. The intention was not there. Their whole intention was to get advantage over you, and they could care less.
Yeah.
That's just that's just a fact of the situation. That's just being real with y'all.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta take the money as the lesson. What they say, it's measure for measure. So sometimes
there's a valuable lesson that you learned. You paid for the lesson to never do that again. So hopefully next time you get into a relationship with somebody who you practice discernment with, and you all establish barriers and intentions in that relationship.
Yes. Yeah, that's super, super big and super important. Because if not, then you're looking at decreased intimacy. So for sure, if you're constantly competing with your spouse, it will lead to a decrease in your intimacy. Because, of course, intimacy requires that trust that my husband was talking about. You got to have that trust and that vulnerability. If you're not able to be vulnerable with this person because you feel like they're taking advantage of you or anything of that nature, then it's going to lead to a decrease in intimacy. And that's, it's going to be difficult to achieve much love from that, because then it's just,
that's the next step. So what was the point before that?
That was it.
The communication problems. So once you start having communication problems, then you start having decreased intimacy in the relationship. You're not sleeping together. This becomes a sexless marriage, a sexless relationship. You start having sex with somebody else. They start having sex with somebody else. So that the intimacy is no more in that relationship. So you all see how this thing cascades. It evolves. It changes. It gets worse. So that's what happens when you don't communicate properly.
It does. And of course, it'll lead to maybe even emotional abuse at some point. In some cases, because your spouse and you are like so competitive, then you can reach to the point where you're trying to manipulate each other, or even, like my husband talked about before, like the trying to really control each other. And that is abuse. And that's certainly not a healthy way to have a relationship, and no fun to want to be in either. At least
either you start getting into some sort of mindset where in your brain that you start liking arguments and fussing and fighting and stuff like that. It can evolve into something like that. So that's what you don't want.
Right. Of course.
The trauma, sort of trauma.
And not only that, too, competition will lead to anger and anxiety within yourself. So you're looking at yourself being upset and mad because you're constantly being put down by your spouse. That's no way to treat yourself. And then you might have anxiety, like you kind of talked about the fear of being judged from your spouse, especially if you do fail, right? You want your spouse to be there for you and to be a supportive person for you, but you're certainly not going to feel that if y'all are having this, competition, because then it's going to feel like, you were you underperformed in a way, or that you were inadequate, and that is no way to want to feel within a relationship. You always want your spouse to actually love you for who you are, even if you mess up, even if you make a mistake. In particular, that's big for what I said. I like to think for a wife's role, it's really important to be able to say, not that it's okay to fail. Because if your spouse or your husband, as the leader, may not make always the best decisions, sometimes it happens. We're all human. You can't expect your spouse to be perfect 100% of the time, because you're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. But either way, if things happen to where one of you all fail, you want to be able to be there for each other and understand that, hey, I'm not going to, critique you or beat you down, or, I'm not against you. We're together and we're actually, looking to help each other and support each other through those times. It's just not fun to be in a relationship where you can't feel like that spouse is going to be there for you. It's no way to want to come home to that. You can't relax to that. That's not a peaceful environment.
Eggshells.
Yeah, that's a
walking all over
stressful
eggshells.
environment. It is. And it will certainly just wreak havoc on your well-being and your spouse's well-being. So please, if you have recognized any of these things that we have talked about, we have gone over it, I think, a good enough that I'm ready to get into some solutions, truth be told. Because if you have recognized this, it's important to know that you can work through it, especially if you're in a marriage. We are big advocates on trying to lower those divorce statistics. So if you are in a marriage, certainly these are some things that you want to look to try to do with your spouse, so then that way y'all can correct this competitiveness and actually come on one accord and work as a team together. And if you aren't in a marriage or you're in a relationship and you recognize this is going to give you the opportunity to course correct and get your relationship back on target so that you can work towards having a successful and fulfilling marriage and relationship in the long run.
Yep.
So here's the first one. Yeah.
So first, identify the root cause of the competition. So once you know why you or your spouse are competing, you can start to address the issue. Don't ignore this.
Yeah.
So remember, some common reasons for competition is
insecurity, low self-esteem, fear of abandonment. Some of the other things we talked about, need for control, or like your past experiences. All of those are your general things we kind of already talked about. But recognize those and pay attention to that, because then you have the next part. You need to have that
an open conversation, open and honest conversation with your spouse. And communication is key to resolve any issue in their relationship. So understand this. So talk to your spouse about how the competition is making you feel and how you think it can be addressed. If they are ignoring you and they don't want to talk about it, you can't have a relationship with somebody like this. I'm sorry. Being realistic, a lot of times you can't make things work by yourself, and one of them is a relationship. So you just got to be honest with yourself, be mature, make the mature decision, and just move on. But then if things work out, then you can work together to start competing as a team. Like Mike said, be competitive together. Competing as a team in a relationship can be great. A great way to motivate each other, inspire each other, achieve shared goals, have fun with each other, have fun together. So here's some tips on how to do this and how to make this work.
Yeah, because I like what you said, those shared goals together. That's always the fun part of a relationship, I think. It's because you're not doing life alone. You have someone to do it with, and it's no longer that loneliness that you'll feel. So set those shared goals.
So shared goals. So what do you both want to achieve together? This could be anything from running a marathon or starting a business or retirement. The main thing after you get married, I always beat this down. Retirement needs to be one of your goals. As a married couple, you may want to have children, you may want to send them off to college and then afford a home. And then after that is retirement, because who's going to fund you from the age of 65 to 95.
Yeah.
So you both work together, gather your resources, invest, like we said, start a business, something. But you have to realize that you all have to compete against father time and retirement. Make sure that you all can live comfortably and don't rely on your children to flip that bill for you all in your retirement years.
Yep.
That is not their job. Yes, you've invested your time and your life to raising your children. They don't need you should not require them to pay you back. That's being a parent.
Yeah. So, and if you are a boyfriend and girlfriend too, that might look a little different. I shared goals. Even if it's not retirement, you're putting your money
goal
together.
Is marriage.
Yeah.
You need to save money for if you want to get a wedding or whatever, you need to save money for that.
Yeah.
Get, like my wife said, down payment for apartment. There's a lot of things you both need to pay, share, pool your resources for.
Yeah.
So y'all need to have some sort of shared goal. And that shared goal, number one, needs to be getting married. First trying to, you're working towards getting married.
Working establish towards that. And what y'all overall life will look like together in moving forward, getting on the same page about your goals, about your expectations, about, maybe even how you will handle conflicts. It's super important. Of course, your environment, where you're going to live at, all that other great stuff. Those are things to want to work towards, and really to focus on that being something that you're building towards as a team, and not so much things that, you're still trying to get on your own. Yeah.
Get on your own. Yeah.
Yeah. Because and I get that it can be a little intimidating to start dating somebody and just immediately, well, not immediately, but when you're dating and you're starting to get serious, to then say, hey, well, what are we doing? But that's super important to do. So whether this looks like a casual conversation or a more formal one, where you're really sitting down and having a notepad and a piece of paper and a pen, and you're actually writing down what you all's vision for life is going to look like within the next 5, 10, or maybe even the next week, what you kind of want to do with each other. Because then if things don't align, then that, okay, I can get out of this before it gets too deep. And you don't get into those situations where you're like, oh, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that this is what they want. And I didn't know this is too much. It's much better if you can recognize this early and see if this is something you want to sign up for. Because, it is something, it should be a goal, a serious goal of wanting to make this a serious, long-term, fulfilling relationship for each other. So that is actually going to be the first step, just having those shared goals. And it can seem so cliche, and you will always be competing if y'all ain't got no goals together. If y'all haven't sat down and said, we doing this together. This is what it's going to look like. How can I play my part? How can we play each other's part? Because you got to be respectful of each other's strengths and weaknesses. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. We're not going to be the same. You're especially not a man and a woman. You are going to have those different things that one spouse is better at than the other spouse. Come together at that and recognize it, so that then you can use it like a team, recognizing, the best player to play certain roles and positions, so that the team is more effective at meeting the goals, and not so much just, oh, you ain't no good at this, like,
criticizing and critiquing each other.
Yeah, and you ain't here yet, and you ain't doing this. But that's again the beautiful part of a relationship, because where one spouse may not be, the best, you may be great at that, and that's where you can come in and lend that helping hand if you can do something like that. That's super important.
Yep. So be supportive for each other.
Yeah.
Be supportive of each other. When one of you is struggling, the other person should be there to offer support.
Yeah.
This could mean cheering them on, offering advice, or simply just being there to listen.
Yeah.
And also to celebrate your successes together.
Oh, if I may, before we get into that one, the being supportive of each other. I can't stress enough, especially for the woman, how it is a vulnerable position to put yourself in, to want to be support to a man. But if there is not something that I know, like, because it's happened to me my whole life, and that's kind of what gives me this confidence in being able to assist women and taking on this role and stuff, because I've been there. I get it when it's like, it can be a little scary to do things like that. But if you just are strong in the trust and the faith and the love of God, right? And the love of you being a genuine good person and the natural law of what you put out is what you'll get back. If the situation does not work in your favor, and if so happen things go bad, if you can just look within and find that strength to say, that's okay. That was my audition to show the universe what I have, show God that I am still this good person, that no matter who does what to me, no matter how I may have been mistreated in the past, I recognize that this is what happened. I can be aware of the signs to help prevent this from happening to me again. But I can also still rest in the fact that I am still this person. This wasn't an act. This wasn't something that I was just doing to hope to manipulate or get anything out. This is who you genuinely are deep down at the core. When it becomes that, you can best believe that God will stand behind you and protect you in that. If you genuinely can rest in that. I have seen so many women where it happened, they meet a guy and not be the right guy for them. Things go bad, but then as soon as that she steps out of that relationship, God will deliver the man for her, or the exact man that was perfect for, that situation. Be great for her.
I mean, my advice about that and finding somebody is making sure that person is vetted.
Yeah.
Get your daddy there. Daddy needs to vet that person. And that's a problem now. A lot of us don't know where our daddies are. And that's just a, realistic situation. Find the closest married couple that you can find, whether that's at church, at somewhere. Somebody who's married. I hope you do.
Yeah.
And get them to vet that person. Ask them questions. See what their intentions are.
Yeah.
Because if you can't see these red flags, or if you've had a past of horrible relationships, and it happens over and over again, then you may not be able to see these red flags, and that's all right.
Right.
But it takes a third party often at times, takes somebody else to ask these questions that need to be asked before you jump into a relationship with somebody.
Yeah. And you know what, to be honest, one of the beautiful things that have came about from this whole experience, and as much as I had prayed and talked to God about all of this and what we're doing and having the covering of that, to be able to one day set up the opportunity for this Western society to have arranged marriages where women and men who don't have nobody around them to support them and vet their spouses, but you can come to a place where that help would be available to you so that you can get the premarital support that we need. You can get the counseling during, before, and after, and the marriage and all of that to help really show and really support our generations and our society as we come together. So that's really truly a deep vision that I can see, and I'm super excited for that vision and all the energy. And so in this moment, I send that energy out because I really think that's going to be great for our society in general.
Yeah.
It gives you that sense of, especially the genuineness, because it seems like now the fear is, oh, nobody's genuine no more, right? So if you could really figure out a way to help people weed through this together, and get to those people, because they're out here. They are out here. I refuse to believe, granted the fact we're not in the whole pond of, dating and stuff, but when I just see, there are good people out here. There really are.
Well, the problem is that the example.
Yeah.
We don't have good examples of working relationships.
Yeah.
We don't constantly see this. Is either you have it or either you don't. Statistics shows, what is it, 46%
of the house
of children are raised by single parents. And of that 46%, 70% or 80% are in the Black community. So for especially that community, the Black community. Yeah. It's very rare for us to see two parents in a household together in a working relationship and having the knowledge of how it's supposed to work. That builds confidence within the children. That gives them the foundation of what they need in order to carry on into a good relationship. Now, you may get these situations where they were raised in good households, but were their spouse raised in good households? I know someone who had both their parents, and then they married married a man, and that man was raised by their father, but not the mother. And this man had a horrible time trying to make commitments in the marriage. So You have to, but at
because
the same
that was
token,
what he saw. Like,
right,
yeah.
that's what he saw. But the problem is that the young lady's father didn't vet that man before she got into that relationship.
Even still, yeah.
We don't sometimes people don't even have the thought to ask somebody, hey, what do you think about my boyfriend?
Yeah.
They
or
don't,
even have it
or
available.
they try to avoid all of that.
Yeah.
You know, you're setting yourself up. You know, you need to get your brothers to vet this man. You need to get your fathers to vet this man. You need to get your mama to vet this man. You need to find, you know, people who are married to come and vet this man to see if he's marriage fit. That's one of the words we use. Make sure that he's marriage fit. So that lady who made that comment that, you know, she supported a man and then she left him and there's no good men out here or whatever. That was the key part that you were missing, was somebody to properly vet this man and to tell you the truth about what they thought about him. Yeah. That's something y'all people just jump into relationships and they skip all of these steps and then assume that this relationship is going to work, and at that moment in time, you're just taking a risk. Yeah. You know, we take risk every day, you know, once we leave our house, but you can minimize risks by taking proper steps and precautions.
Yes. And that's really important.
Yeah.
But after all of that, please be sure and to support your spouse. We just talked about supporting your spouse. I know we slightly digressed, but after you have been able to really support each other and come together in achieving these goals that you have, you know, set for each other, and being there for each other and working on those communication things and really actually being able to support each other 360, mind, body, and spirit, actually creating that great environment for you to grow, be sure to take the time to celebrate your successes together. Take those times to really cultivate that. Good job. I'm proud of us. We're doing great. We're kicking ass. And I'm so happy for us, because that is really going to connect you guys on a deep, deep level of just being able to see, hey, we're doing a great job at life, and we're going to keep doing a great job at life together, especially if, again, you didn't have this growing up. Maybe you didn't have a mother that was so supportive, or a father that was supportive and actually celebrating each other when you guys did great things. If you didn't have that growing up, it's great to have that with your spouse and be able to share those moments of, you know, reminding each other to stay motivated and that, hey, we're going to do great things together. That's really going to help your relationship move along further. And that's one thing to not downplay, whether it's you guys go out for a dinner date or just, you know, buy each other something nice. I don't know, however you guys like to celebrate with each other, please take the time to do that, because that will really just help in the long run.
Do that for your anniversaries, you know, celebrate your successes, address each other, give each other some praise and appreciation. Yeah. Because that is a big thing.
And small ones too, even everyday ones, like the thank yous. I think we kind of talked about that yesterday. When you get into being appreciative of each other, that is a small way to really celebrate your successes, especially if you guys are working on getting better at, you know, doing little things, communicating, or not getting as angry with each other, or even remembering to take on different household tasks or different whatever tasks that you guys said that you were guys going to work on. When you see that you guys are doing a great job at this, celebrate that. Say great job to your spouse, and I see you over there doing great things, and I'm proud of what you're doing, and, you know, I'm just excited to do this with you, because that's really going to bring that comfort and that, you know, security within the relationship that you're going to need. And that's important. It really, really is. Yep. Big and small.
Yep.
It really matters. It's the little things too, I think, more than ever, especially when you're wanting to achieve those big goals. If you're going after those little goals of just being thankful for each other and appreciating each other, that's going to really help you want to even accomplish those bigger goals. You know, you're going to want to move in with your spouse. You're going to want to marry your spouse. You're going to want to go after and all these other great goals and dreams y'all have for each other. So yeah, this was a good one. Competing as a team should be enjoyable. Right. If you get to that stage to where, like Mr. Mike Levin said, competing as a team, that is fun. That is the ultimate couples goals. Because if you're not having fun in your relationship, then it is not worth it. It's no fun.
Try to get some counseling. If that don't work, then you got to exit.
Yeah,
that's just the fact of the matter. But yeah. I mean, competing in your relationship together is fun.
Yeah.
You know, and especially when you all see the progress of where you all came and how far you have come.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're over the 1 hour mark.
Any questions?
Any comments? We had yesterday was full of questions, and we loved it. We really appreciate it. Hopefully we helped out that young man who was asking those questions yesterday. It seemed kind of like competition. He was talking about what was he talking about? How he could be taken advantage of. Things he could do to not be taken advantage of.
Yeah, that's certainly a form.
And that is a form of competition. You don't put yourself in a position where you're going to be taken advantage of and be made into a fool. I'd say that as one of the shorts. Don't be a fool for anybody that's out here. Yeah. Man, we thank you too. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you everybody. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're glad to do this. What's today? What's it, Wednesday?
No. Whew. Oh yeah, today's Wednesday.
Look,
tomorrow's Thursday. So we're here Monday through Friday, same time, same place. Instagram followers, thank you all for joining us tonight. We're like over 6,000.
Yeah, it's been
Instagram
growing.
followers and counting. We really appreciate it. Over the past 4 months?
Yep.
That we've been up here. It's been very amazing.
Like
5 months, going on 5 months now. And as always, like we say, if you all can transfer to our YouTube account and hit that subscribe button there, we really appreciate it. We're trying to increase the traction, which we are getting every day. We're getting more and more people, especially because of that daily wrap up crew video.
Yeah, and hopefully we get in some more collaborations soon.
Right.
I like those, especially I even want the tough ones, the ones where we're out there and actually in the field talking to women and men and actually helping. I'm excited for that. Thus, we got some great plans with that coming up. So y'all stay tuned because we gonna do some stuff. We got some things coming up for sure.
And just be on the lookout for that. But like I said, if you all can go over to our YouTube account, hit that subscribe, share videos, and like those as well. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So until next time, Blueprint family, thank you all for joining us tonight, and you all have a wonderful night. Peace.
Peace. Let's see if this music play. Good job, babe.